I know there's a letter that was sent out by the White House Chief of Staff saying start moving forward with transition, but the president's not giving up. And now there's news that there are 126 members of House Republicans who are backing that Texas lawsuit to overturn the election. That does include also Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. How involved is the president in this effort to convince fellow Republicans to take the election away from the American public?
Very involved, Katie. It appears that this is consuming President Trump's attention day by day, figuring out a way to overturn the election. And at this point, with most of his legal challenges having been dismissed in court and not a lot of avenues left for him to pursue, he's mounting this public pressure campaign. He's trying to get state legislatures in some of these states who are Republican allies of his to use their emergency powers in those states. He's trying to pressure the governor of Georgia, as we've seen for days now. And importantly, he's putting a lot of presidential momentum behind this lawsuit that's been brought by the state of Texas to overturn the results in 4 key battleground states, which would effectively change the outcome of the election. There's no evidence, of course, of this widespread voter fraud, no evidence that the election was rigged. Nonetheless, this is the effort, the last-ditch effort by Trump allies before the Electoral College meets on Monday to determine the final national outcome of this race. And extraordinarily, a huge number of House Republicans, elected members of the Congress, have signed their names to an amicus brief, including, as you noted, the leader of House Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, signing on to that document. And it just speaks to the power and the influence that President Trump has over this party and the fear that he creates among these Republican office holders who are wary of not doing what he wants, which in this case is to publicly pressure the Supreme Court.
Can we just linger on Kevin McCarthy signing on to this for a moment? Kevin McCarthy, who is the leader of the Republicans in the House. Kevin McCarthy, who, if things swing back in the Republicans' favor in the House, he could be the next Speaker of the House, signing on to this. Legal experts say it is just completely crazy to file this sort of lawsuit, that there's no reason why a state can try to overturn the election in another state, that remains within the lawful power of the individual states. Also, all of the lawsuits that this president and his team have brought have been thrown out in court because there is zero evidence to back anything up. And now Kevin McCarthy is signing on to it.
He is. And Katie, it's actually entirely in keeping with the way McCarthy and so many of his Republican colleagues in the Congress have dealt with President Trump throughout this presidency. They've been, for lack of a better term, supplicants to this president, willing to go along with the conspiracies, willing to indulge the whims of the president, to the point where President Trump actually has publicly called McCarthy "my Kevin." That's the name he has used to describe the House Republican leader. And so this is just a continuation of what we've seen in Washington the last 4 years, where President Trump has complete control over the Republican Party and fellow Republican office holders. And they're just afraid, frankly, to not sign their names to this amicus brief, because Trump will go after them on Twitter, will recruit primary challengers against them, and make their life very, very difficult.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.